Hello, I'm going to take you on a tour of a variety of features of the Saphira requirements management and digital thread building platform. So what I've done here is I've created a new project really quickly for a robot. When you create a project, you can invite all the users you want to include and a description, all that jazz. Now, instead of entering requirements manually to begin with, I'm going to import them from a spreadsheet that I'm already using to track a bunch of my requirements. So you can use a variety of different schemas for this, I will show in a minute. But all I have here is my ID, requirement description, operator, so on and so on. And we'll show how to map that otherwise. So let's import a spreadsheet. Let's opt out of Jira integration. And right here, you can see the default input schema, as well as the way you provide a mapping. We'll fix up this UI in a bit, but for example, you can see that you can map the key column in your input to requirement reference number or something like that if you are using different names. So let's select the file. This is in downloads, and it is the robot data CSV. It takes just a minute to process all of this. There we go. And it gives you a change log of everything that got added right here. Now, if you import the same spreadsheet again, which we can do in a minute, it'll actually give you an impact analysis. So all the children requirements that are impacted and also the actual change that was made. So if I were to go change one requirement in the spreadsheet, re-import it, it would only update that one. Okay, let's close this out and go take a look at some of the basic editing functionality. So as we said, for example, in the import, you saw that F2 is a child of F1. So I'm going to update the engraved precision of F1 to 0.02 millimeters, so reduce the precision, and I will update this. And it gives me that trace down in here. And in this case, the hypothetical changes didn't go through, but oftentimes if there's an explicit change that needs to be made, we'll actually predict what the change in the child that needs to be made is. And we'll also tell you impacted tests if there are tests that are associated. So we get that. We can, for example, take a look at the graph of relationships here. So there you go. You can see the relationship between F1 and its its parent F2 and its category functional. And we can go and see all these categorizations in the trace graph as well. So you can see here all the, for example, let's put just functional requirements. Zoom in and see F1, F2 right here. You can see just the safety requirements and so on. Okay, let's now take a look at how we actually go about associating a test plan. So for F1, for example, we want to create a test plan here, and you can just enter whatever you'd like. To actually show an example, let's actually generate a test plan for this. So this is one of the features we offer where you can say generate test plan in code. It takes a minute to process, but it will actually give you some initial values that you can execute here. There we go. So this tells you, okay, you have this test objective. Oops, instead of opening it, let's actually copy it and we'll go paste it in. So it tells you test objective, test method, test criteria, the steps you might perform. And then one of the things that's in the pipeline right now is you can actually change these tests and then actually enable specific systematic calls into your test harness in your Hill setup or whatever it might be from right here. Right now, we just generate the code, but soon we'll allow you to run it in the background, even in your Hill environment. So let's go add this really quickly, and you can come back and store this, edit it collaboratively, all that jazz. There we go. Now we can go back. You can edit the test plan if you want. Come back, and you can go see how different impacts might impact this. So we'll say now we want to increase the precision again to 0.01 millimeters. And you can see the impacted test here, which is the test plan that we stored that you were using. There we go. All right. So now let us do something interesting, which is that we will associate a GitLab repo that will automatically trace into this set of requirements. So to do that, we'll go to settings, and we'll paste in the repo details. So it's actually right here. Let me go back and grab that value again. Okay, now this is saved. So when we save this, we'll actually configure a Lambda that will start alerting us if we have changes associated with any of the requirements here. So we can already see some interesting things, like, for example, if you go to reports, you can view all the merge requests in the associated project. And you can generate reports that tell you all about the impacted requirements from a given merge request. And then you can also go organize. So for example, let's say, so this merge request impacted F3. So let's go back and add a release to F3. We say that F3 is part of release 1. Now we'll also be able to view reports on this release level. So right down here, you can generate a report for the release number 1, which tells you all of the files that were changed in this given requirements release and the impacted keys and any impacted tests. Another factor to consider is that when you make all these changes, we'll actually notify you if those changes affect a requirement. So we'll notify the requirement owner, in this case myself, if, for example, my collaborator makes a change to the associated code. All right, so next thing we can do is that we can actually go and look at some of the ways that we can use our API to build out this linkage even further for tests. So let's look at the battery project really quickly, where we've taken some of the generated code test as well, and we have actually used that in a test that's running on our backend, which is a model test assessing the battery capacity. So we use that generate test mechanism to generate this test that checks the relationship between the battery weight, the minimum range, the energy density, and the efficiency factor. The minimum range is the main requirement, this battery capacity requirement. And when it passes, it updates the test status in our system. So you can see these two tests are currently failing, and on the home page, we were actually able to dive into which systems were causing these to fail as captured from the tests. So let's switch back to the battery project. And the way that this works is that we will click into unvalidated. It tells you the split between unknown and minimum range, and you can click into this and view those again. All right, so the final thing we'll show is the ability to export as narrative and export something interesting as PDF. So for that interesting thing, let's go back to our robot project and add some details around the docs that we can surface. So for example, let's go grab this, this folder. Okay, let's actually grab this from this GitLab instance that we've already authenticated with. So let's add some links to this requirement. We're going to add this doc folder that might have some external outputs, and we'll confirm this. And now we'll try exporting a PDF report of the entire project, which is going to have something pretty interesting as soon as it downloads. So it's going to open right here. And if we scroll down right below F1, you'll actually see all the contents of this file. We're actually working on this with Google Docs right now as well, so you can have any sort of documents imported into a comprehensive summary, even in some more custom formats for particular certifications. The final thing we'll show is the ability to export your entire project as a narrative. Here is what that narrative export looks like. It has an executive summary and all of these details. Check it out. Excited for you guys to start using the Saphira platform and building it out in custom ways to help with the actual safety lifecycle.